Hello there, traveler. Welcome. Let me tell you a story. An adventure that will blow your mind. It all starts in Baldur's Gate. How's it going? Welcome back to a very special video today. I've been wanting to make this video for such a long time now. Ever since I got super into Baldur's Gate 3 this year, I truly delved into it, gave it my full attention compared to when I just played it on release. This game is literally a work of art, and today I'm going to be giving you my Baldur's Gate 3 2024 review and a deep Baldur's Gate 3 analysis, looking at its themes, its philosophical undertones, and the gameplay of this. It's just absolutely insane. So if you're new, make sure that you do subscribe, give this video a like, because I'm going to put a lot of hard work into this video. It's going to be a lengthy one, so I do hope you enjoy. If you are new, become a wise one, join this fantastic community. If you love philosophical videos and gaming analysis, subscribe right now. Thank you so much, and give the video a like. And yeah, just let me know what you think, because I love having a discussion with you guys. And the whole fun of this is having a discussion with you guys, so please do leave me your comments, because I want to know what you think about this masterpiece of a game. So, Baldur's Gate 3 in 2024, let's go. Shh, shh, be quiet. The goblin camp is right up ahead, okay? Everyone just be careful. There's a fire pit down there. Don't walk into it, okay? Just follow me. Don't be an idiot. Gale, don't walk into that fire pit.
Well met. I am a magical projection of Gale of Waterdeep, and if you see this manifestation, that means I have prematurely perished. However, for reasons that cannot be disclosed, it is of vital importance that my death be remedied at your earliest convenience.
Are you serious?
Now, I do have a few gripes with this game, but mostly I do believe that this is the perfect game. And obviously it's not the best game in like maybe the combat sense, traversal and all that kind of stuff. Maybe even combat. If you like action combat games similar to Dark Souls, then you're of course going to prefer that type of style. But Baldur's Gate 3 as a package, this is not only the best RPG in my opinion, but this is one of the best games ever made, period, okay? And I think this is a perfect time to talk about it because Dragon Age just came out, and I'm so shocked that a lot of people find, quality and artistic integrity in that piece of media. And you can, of course. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you if you do enjoy that type of thing, but the storytelling and writing in Baldur's Gate 3 compared to a lot of other games, it just completely blows it out of the water. And Baldur's Gate 3 is so detailed, so immersive. I've never been this immersed in a video game ever since Fallout New Vegas. The quality of writing, world building, lore that they have to go on makes this truly something special. And it's the journey, the characters that you meet along the way. I've never experienced a type of game that would make me feel like I'm reliving, Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship, or something like that. That's how I feel. I feel like I have my own fellowship. So I'm gonna gush about lots of different aspects, the philosophical tone and themes of this game, a deep analysis of the combat system, the characters and writing, but I'm gonna do this all spoiler free. What makes Baldur's Gate 3 so special is how introspective this game is. Every choice that you make, every dialogue in this game actually carries weight, actually matters. And the amount of dialogue lines in this is astonishing. For one character alone, they can have up to 9 hours of written, voice-acted dialogue, which is absolutely insane, and it's all such high-quality stuff.
And I think there's something I should tell you. Nothing big or terrible, just a small little detail about me that hasn't come up naturally. It's just that I happen to be a... what's the best way to put this? A vampire.
It's truly mind-blowing to me that Baldur's Gate 3 even exists, because honestly, game developers should be scared. And when people say, game journalists who aren't actually journalists, let's be honest, when they don't want you to compare Baldur's Gate to whatever the newest game releasing is, that's because they know that nothing can hold up to this standard of quality. And this should be the new standard of quality for video game writing, storytelling, and RPG mechanics in an RPG game, okay? Like I said, since New Vegas, I haven't felt this way, but truly this is art. The reason why so many people love Baldursgate 3 is simply because it respects your intelligence. It treats you like an adult. Most modern day games now are in this weird in-between where they're trying to market for everybody, which means the writing and characters are usually very shallow, and so is the gameplay. Baldursgate 3 knows its audience. It knows that this is for people who want a mature fantasy world and they want to, tell their own stories. That's what makes this game different from the rest. The writing quality is up there with some of the greatest fictions like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, etc., The Witcher. It truly is astounding, because when I've kind of lost hope for good quality story and writing in games, Baldursgate 3 restored that hope that we can actually have fun gameplay, which actually makes the whole media of gaming so fun to interact with, but still have high quality writing that we would find in some of the best pieces of work in books or movies or TV shows. And the reason why people say Baldursgate 3 is a masterpiece, that is simply because you can actually tell your own story. It gives you the tools, the gameplay mechanics to allow you to create your own story, to actually have a unique playthrough. That's what an RPG should be about. That's what they used to be about, but we've just got away from that. Now everything has a light sprinkle, a light little sprinkling of fairy dust, of RPG mechanics in action games. That's what RPGs are today, and I was sick of it. So I'm so glad that we've got this to actually showcase what an RPG is.
Oh, you do you? I'm not some dewy-eyed tiefling maiden you just saved. You'll need to do a lot more legwork before I commit to any hip work.
So the deep narrative is absolute in Baldursgate 3, okay? That's what makes this stand out compared to other games. Now, it's built off the lore and the world of D&D. Now, I didn't really have an interest in the lore of D&D, to be honest. I was never into D&D, I never played it before. But that's what makes this so special, is it makes people realize just how deep that world, that universe is. And since playing Baldursgate 3, I've been so invested in D&D, the universe, and the different realms, the 7 layers of hell, and all of these different races and how they come together and all this stuff. It's so fascinating because it feels so real in Baldursgate 3. So many people can experience it now thanks to this game. And the world and history that it's built on is just simply incredible. But the writing is why this is so good. Most games, when you talk to an NPC, it feels like you're talking to an NPC. But Baldursgate 3 is different. Like I said, the main thing that sets this apart is the writing and the quality of choice, okay, in this RPG. But the writing is so mature, it's handled delicately, and each little decision that you make has, ripple effects, little butterfly ripple effects onto the rest of the world and the characters in your party. You can't just hit a romance button and then suddenly, bed your favorite character. You actually have to speak to these people like real people, and there's so much dialogue choices for you because your protagonist isn't voiced. What makes this game so amazing is anything that you choose has an actual consequence to it, has actual repercussions in this game world, and the characters reflect that, which is absolutely insane. I mean, they had to think about so many different ways to cater to every single playstyle. The world blends dark fantasy with high fantasy so effortlessly, it's just astounding. It even has elements of sci-fi in it, so it blends all of these genres together, but the world, the lore still feels cohesive and actual because of how everything is written. These characters don't just blurt out how they feel at any given moment. You have to pry into their personal lives, peel back their personal, backstories and these protective layers that they've built upon themselves to, protect their shattered egos in many instances, or, kind of delve into what they truly feel. That is good quality writing when it presents itself, where it doesn't just present itself as an obvious answer, but you actually have to interact with these characters like you would a real person and learn and understand who they are, not just by talking to them, but through your interactions, just exploring the world, which is absolutely crazy. Most games don't even come close to doing that. They just give you a massive dialogue dump as you're walking to the next objective. This game is different because locations actually trigger characters sometimes to have some kind of insight of their own. And some games have done that before, RPGs, but this just takes it to the next level. And it's just astounding because all of the writing is mature. It never tries to force you into playing one way, being a goody two-shoes, being an evil bastard. There's so much nuance with the dialogue choices that you do have, and the writing reflects that nuance, the morally grey. It's not just simply, this is good, this is bad. You have to, introspectively look at your answers and actually think what is the best solution for you and the people around you. Another hard day of adventuring. Let's take a rest. Everyone get set up for camp. Make yourself nice and comfortable. And we can rest, we can relax. We don't need to worry about anything creeping up on us in the night. So that's nice. Let's take a sleep, shall we? Oh, that's nice. Oh, I can sleep peacefully.
Shit. No, it's not what it looks like. I swear. I wasn't going to hurt you. I just needed, well, blood.
There, in the dim firelight, you see him for what he really is. A vampire, a slave to sanguine hunger.
Now, this is a big deal for me because this is what makes me so excited to just discuss Baldur's Gate 3. I don't really care how many people see this video. It's very important for me to talk about it because I do think this is peak video game creation, and this is art form, and this is something we need to encourage, honestly. I might do another review of it next year from a multiplayer standpoint because I am going through it at the moment with a multiplayer friend, which is a very different experience, but it's very cool. But this is the big shocker, okay? Because that just shows you how amazing this game is. I don't like turn-based combat, okay? I don't like it. I've never been into turn-based games, okay? They've just never felt immersive to me. I never feel like I have control over my character. If you know anything about me, or if you're a wise one already, subscriber of this channel, if you're not subscribed, by the way, but you will know that I absolutely love Dark Souls, okay? I think that combat system is amazing, and I love that type of combat system where you really have to, tactically think about the enemy and watch their attack patterns, and all of your actions have, weight and consequence to them. Every swing matters. Now, I've never got into turn-based combat, like I said, because I just found it unimmersive. To be honest, it makes me feel disconnected from my character. But Baldur's Gate 3, okay, this has completely done a 180. And I do believe that's just because this combat system in particular is incredible, okay? Lots of turn-based games feel very simplistic. You choose from a few attacks, and you don't really have control over your character at all. You just send them in for the attack. I find that pretty boring. But Baldur's Gate 3 is like playing 4D chess, because you truly have to think about every choice that you make. Every little action that you do matters in combat, because combat is no cakewalk. It's actually very difficult. At least I find it very difficult, maybe because I'm not used to this type of combat system, but I think this game is quite difficult, and it truly does feel like playing a game of chess, because once you've made your move, that's it. You can't, do anything about it. You have to sit with that consequence. But what makes the combat so good, especially if you're playing as, like a wizard or a sorcerer or a warlock, something between those classes, or a ranger. I'm doing a ranger wizard at the moment, and then my multiplayer class, I believe, is a warlock sorcerer, something like that, because I want ranged combat. You can literally grab an enemy and chuck them to the other side of the room. If you make an ice spell, it will actually make the enemy slip on the ice. You actually have to think creatively about your surroundings. You can stack up barrels and then just explode them off in a distance. Your imagination, literally, most of the times, is the limit. So you truly can think of any creative solution to a combat situation, which is so goddamn refreshing. So many games restrict you, but Baldur's Gate 3 says, just do whatever you want, have fun, go absolutely apeshit. So now the first philosophical theme that I want to bring up in my Baldur's Gate 3 2024 review this Baldur's Gate 3 analysis. This is probably the deepest Baldur's Gate 3 analysis on YouTube, I hope. So yeah, for absolute creeps and nerds like me, I'm sure you will enjoy this. But let me break down some of the philosophical themes. I honestly believe that Plato's ideas and philosophical themes around the perfect forms fit into Baldur's Gate 3 very nicely. Because if you're not sure, if you don't know about this, I'll just give you a quick little lesson, even though I'm not an expert, okay? I've only just started doing research into D&D and the lore of Baldur's Gate 3 and all that kind of stuff. But the magic is built on this kind of metaphysical plane called the weave that you can kind of tap into. It's like an essence of the universe that's not necessarily physical, like, you know, Faerun, for example, but you can tap into that essence. That's how that's how wizards can have access to these spells. What I love about Baldur's Gate 3 is that it is built on this dualist idea, okay, this metaphysical idea. And the idea of Plato's perfect forms is how we get these ideas, how we get these thoughts, you know, from our own consciousness. It's actually tapping into a universal idea. The idea itself is not the perfect form. The perfect form we cannot actually reach because it's on the metaphysical level. The idea of justice, of course, all of us have our own ideas of what justice is, but the idea of justice is a perfect form in consciousness, in the metaphysical realm that we kind of just interact with. And there's so many themes in Baldur's Gate 3 that tap into that dualist sense of identity. For example, the tadpole that you have burrowed in your brain makes you do things that maybe you wouldn't necessarily do, or, you know, it gives you the opportunity to tap into those urges. Speaking of urges, the dark urge, okay? This is another thing, another character that you can kind of roleplay as, or a background that you can choose where you can basically tap into dark desires. And a lot of these characters that you interact with are kind of battling with the idea of self, the identity of self. And Plato's perfect forms kind of represent that idea of what actually is self, what do we actually take from the metaphysical and manifest. And I just think Baldur's Gate 3 tackles that idea, that concept, much more than other games and most media. Shadowheart is a very interesting character to me, not just because of her giant ass, but also her giant belief system in her goddess, Shar, this dark goddess. What's very interesting is how much of this identity of Shadowheart is actually her, and how much is it just instilled onto her by a religion, by a metaphysical idea. And Plato's Forms is all about breaking down those barriers, finding your identity of truth. Most of us think we know what good or evil actually is, but it's, again, a metaphysical construct of that idea of good and evil, and then we just give our own perceptions to it. Baldur's Gate 3 highlights that perfectly, because so many different societies, religions, they all believe many different things, so many different races in this game. So it's about aligning what is true with your identity and manifesting them. And each character always highlights the differences, which I find very fascinating.
What's your game, exactly? A Selûnite bearing gifts sounds like a trick if I ever heard one. Easily done. How am I ever going to explain this in my prayers?
So like I said, Baldur's Gate 3 is all about self-examination, introspection, okay? Every character that you meet, just when you think they're a side NPC, no, actually, you can have a full massive dialogue with them. A lot of them have their own personal quest lines and, you know, their own wants and desires, and you can interact with them however you want. You don't have to be a goody two-shoes, you don't have to be evil. I do feel like the ideas of Socratic self-examination comes into this game a lot, because you have to question everything that you do. And you have to decide in the end, you know, what is right for you, your character that you're role-playing as, or even you as just who you are as a person. If you're role-playing as yourself, examining your own values and beliefs, that's very interesting to me. And you truly have to decide, you know, what is best for this world and the people around you. Absolution, do the ends justify the means? If it, you know, leads to a greater good, do you want a unified consciousness like the Mind Flayers actually want? I love that it often presents virtue or vice, okay? And like I said, this game is so special because every choice that you make is not only examined by you, but actually examined by your party, your characters, okay? They have an approval and disapproval system, okay? And it's not like other Bethesda RPGs where it doesn't really matter, and basically you can just do a 180 and erase their memories, and it doesn't even matter if you've just slaughtered a whole village. Consequences actually matter, and the characters have their own personalities and beliefs, so you can't just do whatever the hell you want without affecting the people around you. Resisting the tadpole's influence on you or just tapping into that desire is a good example of Socratic self-examination, okay? Because like I said, this game is so introspective, and even when you think something might not matter, it does, okay? So, you know, a lot of players might not even think about this stuff, but for me, the most enjoyment that I get from experiencing this type of game is fully immersing myself into the world, not just thinking what's going to give me the most power as, you know, a player, as a gamer. So like I said, everyone has their own beliefs in Baldur's Gate 3. You know, the lore is astounding because of D&D and just the history of this world, the notes, all the information that you can find in this world. You can spend hours and hours in this world if you take your time with it. And not only that, but the amount of replayability that this game offers is just mind-blowing, okay? Because the amount of choice that you have when creating your character, from character backgrounds, from, you know, mixing your race, not just being one race, but you can have subclasses of a race. Wow, look at this. I found me a nice blade. This will definitely come in handy. But, god damn it, I'm not equipped to use it. I wish I could swap classes and I wasn't just bound to this one class for the whole entire journey. That's right, you can multi-class in this game, so you are not just playing the same class every time. You can truly mix and match your playstyle in so many different ways. And then you have the multiplayer element on top of this that transforms this game, and now you actually have to make decisions with other people, not just yourself. And the final thematic point that I want to make in this Baldur's Gate 3 philosophy, or the philosophy of Baldur's Gate 3, and the themes of Baldur's Gate 3 in this deep Baldur's Gate 3 analysis, because I'm insane and I have to analyze everything because I'm insane, but I love it. Now I want to talk about Hegel's dialectics and how that draws parallel to this game perfectly, okay? Now, I'm just going to do a small tiny spoiler here. One of the first things that you have to decide, where you don't have to do anything, is this kind of tiefling camp, where these refugees of tieflings are, and they're basically looked at as devils, even though they're not devils anymore, or they never were, they're just kind of bred out of it. Anyway, but the point is you have to decide what to do with these refugees, okay? And there's a lot of opportunities, and like I said, your imagination really is the limit. You know, there's so many different ways to engage in combat, but also how you solve problems. I never even thought of the idea of, you know, disguising myself to get into the goblin camp or something like that, but there are so many different ways of doing that, of you know, solving the tiefling crisis. And I actually did this weird thing where I actually broke the quest because I did things in such weird order, but it still worked out in the end. That's just so rare for games to allow you to do that, and it's just so parallel to where the industry is right now, where you have like things like Starfield that have NPCs that can't be killed, and it just doesn't feel immersive. Baldur's Gate 3 is the opposite. Everything that you do feels immersive. Basically, it's the idea of antithesis and synthesis, okay? A simple way to describe it is, in destruction, there is a form of creation, okay? History often repeats itself, and even out of dark destruction, you know, out of World War II, out of Rome conquering most of the world, we have the ripple effects. New religion, new laws, new ways of thinking about the world always emerge from change. You can't have, you know, synthesis without change. And Hegel's dialectics basically is a way of examining history and a philosophical outlook of every interaction that you do basically has a ripple effect. And Baldur's Gate 3, you know, a lot of RPGs have this kind of illusion of choice, and of course, you know, it's not like infinite. There are still only a set amount of things that can actually happen, but there's so many different outcomes for small things that it really does make you examine, you know, your impact on the greater game world.
How do I put this basically enough? It's a philosophical theory, the kind you might encounter if you took time to read some books. The fundamental premise is to envision history as a sequence of dialectical conflicts. Each dialectic begins with a proposition, a thesis, which inherently contains or creates its opposite, an antithesis. Thesis and antithesis. The conflict is inevitable. But the resolution of the conflict yields something new, a synthesis, eliminating the flaws in each, leaving behind common elements and ideas. That's a lot of words. Too bad I'm not reading them.
For example, the conflict with those refugees, okay, they can emerge in many different ways. You can actually ally with the goblin camp and have a whole interaction, a whole new romance option if you go down that way, if you have access to a specific character in that goblin camp. Hegel's dialectics is a way of almost accepting fate, similar to Amor Fati, because through destruction, through change, good or bad, there's always something new to be born from it. You can't have something stay stagnant. So Hegel's dialectics are basically an examination of how we think, okay? And different ideologies throughout history, how different philosophies interact with each other, and how this can change, okay? You know, you have to have a conflicting idea for a new idea to be born. You can't just have this one thing. So that's why we have all of these different groups and factions in real life and in Baldur's Gate 3. These different races, religions, all of that come together, and in a gameplay sense, it actually matters. Because like I said, how you interact with these ideas change the outcome of the game, which actually impact the whole world and society. So now let's just finish by talking about the gameplay in general. What do you actually do mostly in this game? Well, like I said, you take on quests, you resolve them through, you know, dialogue or by action pretty much, or some other creative workaround that you can do, you know, stealth, disguise, manipulating, you know, certain people to get your way, all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, you're just talking to people, taking on quests. If there's only a few things I don't like about Baldur's Gate 3 is when you get into combat, there's no easy way to disengage from combat, especially when you don't want to make that fight and there's an, you know, you should be able to just walk out of it. But because of the turn-based nature of the combat, it doesn't allow for that ease of, you know, movement, which is a bit restrictive. I would like if you could just move freely instead of like pointing to where your character wants to go, but I understand it has to follow the D&D kind of rule set. And that's another thing. The roll dice, which I thought would be very annoying and kind of take away my actual, you know, roleplay ability, because, you know, you choose how much charisma, how much intelligence you want, how much wisdom you have, whatever player you want to be, you know, how much knowledge you have of a certain thing. And I thought that the element of luck would just destroy the role-playing aspect of it, but they have a very clever system, which is inspiration points. And you get this by actually role-playing as your character. Following the traits that you have set for yourself gives you inspiration points, and then your knowledge of any subject comes up in any role, so it's very easy to get skill checks done if you are focusing on, you know, something that you have knowledge in. If you're a ranger and you start talking about, you know, wizardry, then you're probably not going to get very far. But if you are a ranger and you're talking about something to do with nature, then it makes sense. And I just love that system. It's so great, and it really makes you feel like, you know, the character that you're role-playing as actually matters. There's so much to it. There's so much to Baldur's Gate 3, you know, there's not even one race. You can have like sub-races in your characters and stuff like that. So many different ways to play this game and interact with it. That's why I think this will stand the test of time, and this is, you know, this should be the standard for RPG games going forward. With its writing, an interesting main storyline, the main quest is interesting, but also just the side quests, all of them are well written as well and engaging in their own right. And the final point that I just want to highlight, the reason why Baldur's Gate 3 is successful, the reason why people say that Baldur's Gate 3 is a masterpiece, and the reason why I wanted to do this Baldur's Gate 3 analysis, just because I love it so much, it's because it's creative, okay? This is creativity, the human spirit of creativity, to make something like Baldur's Gate. Of course, it's borrowing from the D&D lore, which is so creative, you know, in itself, but this is what gaming should be, you know, quality, mature writing, an interesting world to explore, and a game that says it's an RPG that actually allows for role-playing properly with so many different outcomes. The beautiful thing about Baldur's Gate 3 is if you think it, then you can most likely do it. And that's just insane. Most games don't allow for that type of freedom, creativity, and just deep narrative. It makes you invested in the characters and the world around you, and this is what gaming should be. So that is Baldur's Gate 3 in 2024, my Baldur's Gate 3 2024 review. Looking at this game, like I said, next year I'm going to do a multiplayer review of it with my co-host, but I just wanted to deeply analyze all of this game so far because I just think it's truly incredible. So I do hope you enjoyed this Baldur's Gate 3 analysis and this Baldur's Gate 3 2024 review. This is a long video, but if you stuck with it until the end, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot to me. Please leave a comment if you have. Like I said, I don't expect this video to get many views. It's just something I feel very passionate about, something I wanted to cover because it's so rare for games to tap into all sources of, you know, what good creative media can offer. But I feel like this just does everything masterfully. Gameplay, art design, music, which is incredible. It's medieval music with lots of orchestra, strings, and drums, medieval drums when the combat gets going, quality writing, and interesting characters and world building. Level design wise, I feel like it could have been a little bit more open, a little bit less linear in places. That's a small nitpick, I guess. No game is of course perfect, but the characters and the journey of, the journey of this game, that's what makes this special. It truly does feel like a journey, and you can learn about what you want in this world. You can be who you want, and I think that is the magic of D&D. That's why so many nerds love it, and now I understand why. So thank you for watching my Baldur's Gate 3 2024 review analysis. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Okay, let's go, guys. We're pretty close. I heard rumor that the entrance to the Underdark is right around this spider pit. Maybe if we jump down that hole down there? That doesn't look right.
I saved you. And I'm here to save you again. Her parasites are merely a symptom of a greater sickness in Faerun. The infected hear the voice of the Absolute and believe it to be a god.
The Absolute is more dangerous than you can possibly conceive. It threatens all who live. It threatens the gods, the weave, the very fabric of the universe itself.
How would you feel about helping me kill some evil bastards?
Blackith blesses me this day. Together, we might survive.
I'll enjoy watching you try. In mere moments, all that you have dreaded will come to pass. When the screaming stops and your mind is gone, the rest, perhaps, is silence.
Well, thank you for listening to my adventure, my journey through Baldur's Gate 3. Now remember, it's the people that you meet along the way, the choices you make, that's what makes this something special. And I hope to see you along the way at some point. Until the next time, peace out.